Stumbling blindly through the ancient catacombs, Althea Roget's thoughts kept returning to the fragility of life and the inevitability of death. Not her own death, but the untimely demise and future resurrection of the most important man in her life, the Prophet Tobias. She had never met him, of course. He died over 200 years before she was born, but his legacy was profound. Her life was devoted to him. It wasn't religious fervour. It was more personal than that. Tobias was the father she never knew, the lover she'd never had, the God to whom she prayed at night. Her faith in the Prophet was unshakable, and yet what they were about to do was the ultimate sacrilege. To steal the body of the Prophet Tobias from his cryonic tomb. Travelling with her in the gloomy catacomb passages were Patrick and Isaac, two young interns who volunteered for this mission and were probably now regretting it. It all sounds so very exciting until you find yourself lost in a labyrinth, dragging an empty coffin. Isaac stumbled on the uneven floor. He would have dropped his end of the casket, were it not for the grav-lift fulcrum that kept it floating a few centimetres above the ground. The casket was really a portable cryonic chamber. It just looked like a coffin. Grav-lift, or GL, technology relied on quantum locking of superconductive plates along the base of the unit. This created a levitation effect that could bear many times its weight, one of the few major scientific advances made in the Tobianist era. It was used in everything from storage and transportation to amusement park rides and levitating cameras. It was also remarkably quiet, except when rolled over a non-conductive surface for too long, triggering a loud, crackling discharge of static electricity. This occurred now, as they pushed the casket over a particularly rich vein of limestone, causing Isaac to jump. "What's the matter?" Patrick teased. "Nervous?" Isaac shook his head unconvincingly. He knew they were alone. Who else would be foolish enough to venture down here? But the slightest noise triggered his amygdala. His nerves were primed for a fight-or-flight response. The eerie gloom didn't help. It felt as if they were descending into the very bowels of the earth, a direct pathway to hell. As a loyal Tobianist, he wasn't supposed to believe in hell, but myth and imagination were hard to suppress when faced with such evocative reality. The lower catacombs were centuries old, created by ancient lava flows. It was a maze of random channels, with tendrils snaking deep into the earth. These eventually joined with the man-made tunnels beneath the great temple. They moved into a passage with evidence of this human excavation. They were getting close. Here, the rock was crudely pounded to make the passages more navigable. The great temple and the city of Lorna were built upon this vast, sprawling network of man-made tunnels and natural caves. No one truly knew the extent of it. If detailed surveys had once existed, they were now lost in time. Althea carried a battery lantern and a crude hand-drawn map scrawled on temple parchment. The orange glow of the lantern made Althea's pale complexion appear sickly, and her thick red hair shimmer as if on fire. "Where did this map come from, anyway?" Patrick asked quietly, breaking the silence. "I don't know," Althea admitted. "It was supposedly drawn by a priest who got lost down here once. Wandered these tunnels for weeks before he found his way out." "How did he survive that long?" Isaac stammered. "Rats, moss, mushrooms." "He died 2 days later of food poisoning,"